Welcome to FreightWaves. Today, I'm Craig Fuller here at Samsara Live.
Yeah.
Welcome and beyond. We're here in Las Vegas. Julie, feels like we're at the epicenter of American reindustrialization right here in Las Vegas. Obviously, just what's happening here in Vegas, the floor. We've got construction equipment over here. We've got a school bus. We've got, looks like a garbage waste truck. We've got 18-wheelers. This feels like if you love equipment, this is where it's at.
Yeah, first of all, the event is amazing, and it's huge.
It's huge, absolutely. Thousands of people here.
The Tech Expo is the room that we're sitting in, and it's incredibly cool to see the actual equipment and all of the people walking around and the technology and how it's evolving on all of this.
Yeah, for sure.
Safety and AI and autonomous perspective, all of which we'll get to talk about today.
It's amazing. I do feel like this is such an epicenter of so many things happening, and really, and we've got safety, we have optimization, we have operational efficiency. We're going to hear all about that on the show. We've got a fantastic lineup talking about the future, what it looks like, where it's headed, but we're also going to talk about the present. Some new technology, some new systems, some new products have come out that Samsara has introduced, and we're really excited to get into it. Julie, before we start, I think we have to talk about the market.
Yes.
I think the thing that's really interesting is that tender rejections are up. We're at 17.3%, which we hit 16.5. June has not been a super bullish month. It's obviously been strong, but we haven't been ripping the way we were coming into the month. But it feels like we're right at that July 4th holiday pre-surge. We're going to see that over the next couple of days.
I think so. I think that we know tender rejections are always a precede spot rates rising. I think next week spot rates will start going up. We'll see that end of month, end of quarter push. People getting all of their freight out before the holiday. Then we'll see a lag of drivers coming out of the house after the holiday where people sit. So
it's always, this. I mean, it's always hard to get drivers to leave the holidays. And it was always when I was running dispatch, it was like, how many drivers can we get out the door? Because they're all wanting to hang out longer than the companies want them to. That's obviously a big concern for fleet operators that are getting into it. So it's just something that everyone's going to have to contend with.
Beneficial that it's a Saturday, so hopefully they'll be ready to get
That's true.
by on Monday. But it always surprised me the holidays that you would think like Christmas, Thanksgiving, but really it was like the Super Bowl, Mother's Day, Halloween. It was different.
Well, I think families, you got young kids. You've had young kids. I had young kids. Halloween is an important day. It's become an American holiday, but it's not, July 4th is obviously the American holiday.
It's the 250th anniversary, and the World Cup is on. So there's
lots of reasons for people to not come in. Yeah. We're going to get right back to it, and we'll have our first guest, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Race car drivers like NASCAR champion Jesse Love are a lot like commercial drivers, pros. But even the best in the world still watch the tape to see what they missed and get better next time. So we created the Samsara Driving Coach.
Great race, Jesse, but you were following too closely and you were speeding.
Okay, you got me on that one.
Samsara uses insights from millions of professional drivers to coach drivers in real time.
Because even champions need a coach.
Give me the keys.
What's the masterclass all about? Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're a driver, you're an owner-operator, you're a fleet owner, whether you're in compliance services, dispatcher, no matter what it is, masterclass is for you. Every 2 weeks, you're going to sit down with me, and we're going to go over certain business topics that are related specifically to your small trucking company operations. We're going to help you with everything from compliance to how to negotiate better on the spot board, how to find direct freight, and everything in between. This is the reason why you don't want to miss out on Masterclass. It's about an hour to an hour and a half, and then on top of that, you'll have the library to you so that way you can always research and reflect back onto it. Don't miss out this opportunity. This is built specifically for you. I'm excited, and I hope to see you in class.
Imagine a world where your freight moves as fast as a digital pulse. What if your visibility didn't just tell you where a truck was, but exactly where it needed to be 48 hours from now? Think of a logistics network that corrects its own mistakes before they cost you a single dime. What if your supply chain could think for itself? Imagine AI agents negotiating rates in milliseconds, predictive models that solve labor shortages before they even happen. This isn't science fiction, it's the agenda. On July 15th at the historic Old Post Office in Chicago, FreightWaves presents the Supply Chain AI Symposium. We are defining in real time how AI is embedded into every mile, every warehouse, and every handshake. Because in 2026, the future isn't just coming, it's already negotiating. The FreightWaves Supply Chain AI Symposium. Secure your spot now.
Welcome back to Las Vegas here at Samsara Live and Beyond. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks a lot for having me.
Well, we have Johan Land. You are the Chief Product Officer here, and let's talk a little bit about what you guys introduced. You have some fantastic products on stage. You did an amazing presentation today. One of my favorite products as a pilot, and I'm thinking about from the driver's perspective, is this 360 camera, which basically enables you to see all aspects of what's happened inside the cab of a vehicle, but also outside of it. Again, as a pilot, I'm thinking that would be pretty epic to have inside of an airplane. Where does this go from here?
Yeah, I mean, this one is truly amazing, right? So, like, you get the 360 viewed visibility from a single camera. And the best thing is you can pan around and see and follow around and see what's actually happening out there. So this one we're really excited about. And we think that this like really changes. Yeah, it's tiny. It's tiny. It's just like a regular camera. And it stands up to the toughest environment, right? So you get like dust, sand, weather, whatever. Like, you can mount it outdoors. This one, I'm psyched about
Mount it outdoors.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, where would it go in the equipment? On the front of the vehicle?
Yeah, it depends. Like in a forklift, you place it up in the corner. Like, but in open cab environments, it's perfectly fine.
If you're out on a construction site, you got a lot of, if you've got a digger or something like that, where you've got an open, perhaps in an agriculture or a farm truck, tractor.
Yeah, exactly. You get all kinds of stuff happening. Or like we're mounting it now in the tarmac on vehicles going there, and you got like baggages thrown around, so it gets hit by that, no problem. Like,
yeah, we've seen the videos of baggages being thrown around. Everybody's worst nightmare is having their baggage thrown around.
Exactly.
But airports are a really big element of where you guys are going. You're doing a lot on airport. We've seen some of the incidents that have happened this year. Just driving compliance and safety is obviously foremost important in everything that you guys do. Also, just driving operational efficiency. One of the big questions, though, is driver sensitivity to these devices, because they are driving coaching. You've got a lot of coaching built into it. But how do you get drivers to sort of buy into having technology that is improving and monitoring their activity, but ultimately trying to improve their performance?
Look, I had a driver with one of our customers. He had an accident, and when the customer showed up, the driver was in handcuffs, right? Blamed for that accident. They pulled the video, and that exonerated him. Handcuffs off. Wow. Now, those types of situations is what turns around the driver community, and what we see is that when drivers get used to it and they see the value, they won't drive without it. Like, this is a must-have. So that's the type of transition that we see teams and organizations go through.
It's something like only 12% of accidents are actually drivers at fault.
Yeah, exactly. Especially commercial drivers.
And proving that the driver did everything in their power to prevent these types of incidents, but also the coaching element, which is really important. One of the things that I think is very interesting that I picked up the last couple of days is most of the safety issues that happen is sort of this cohort of drivers, and really coaching them because they want to do better, but oftentimes maybe they didn't get the training in terms of best practices. Perhaps it's been some time since they've had training. Really building in training modules and ways to really enhance them. How are you guys building that forward?
Absolutely. Training is truly crucial. All drivers want to do great. The problem is that companies are struggling with having the bandwidth to train everyone. So the way we see this going and what we have available already now, and much of what we announced, is AI helping augment people and do some of the training for people, like some of the coaching. For example, like those drivers that are already safe or doing pretty well, they might need a little bit of nudge in the right direction. AI can handle that. Whereas you have people and more expensive sort of interventions handled for the most and highest risk drivers. That's the way we see this really happening with AI.
Now, go ahead, sorry, Jill.
So speaking of AI, let's talk about your AI Agent Studio a little bit and what you guys rolled out with that today.
Yeah, exactly. So this one is also very exciting. So what this is about is that we put AI in the hands of customers, so you can type up exactly what you want an agent to do. Maybe you want it to help out when someone enters a certain area, announce something to them, gather some information, coach them, etc. But in this studio, you can effectively instruct the AI on what to do. It's a very empowering experience.
Samsara is really been leading in terms of safety, focusing on it. But one of the other elements is operational efficiency. How are companies getting improvements as they implement the technology that really drives safety and compliance and training? How do they also see operational improvements that come out of it?
Yeah, so we see this in a set of different things, like fuel efficiency would be one example of that, unnecessary idling or droughting in bad ways, or just driving in an inefficient fuel-wise way. It's like those types of things we detect using the AI as well as the integration into the vehicles, and then we help companies improve on that through coaching as well as interventions, and that just drives up the efficiency, and really strong ROI on that one specifically.
Now, one of the things I was really impressed by is your tracking label, and the idea that this opens up in a brand new market in terms of expanding the TAM for the company. Tracking labels, which you can't even tell. I mean, cargo theft is a major issue. Yeah. It's a pervasive issue. It continues to explode. We talk about it quite frequently, but the idea that this tracking label can be put on a shipment on a box, nobody really knows it's there, but it enables customers to track it, and once it hits your mesh network, it's identified anywhere that any Samsara's device ends up getting picked up by.
Yeah, I mean, this one also blows my mind, right? So this thing is thin like paper, right? And it lasts for 45 days. And the thing is that, you just slap it onto something and you can track it. And the thing is that this is uniquely something that we can do because we have this Bluetooth network of all devices that we built up over the last 10 years. So this is different from RFID, where you need to build all this infrastructure, and it's different from a typical GPS tracker that goes through the phone network, which is expensive and can only do it for the most expensive types of shipments. This you can do on everything just because of that.
And it's real time. It tracks in real time.
Yeah, exactly. It's real time, and you get an enormous amount of updates, as opposed to if you ship with a typical shipper, you get only when they scan. This one you get real time, all the time.
Yeah, and the crazy part is the battery on this thing, Julie. It is the fact that there's a battery that for 45 days these tracking labels. That's what is amazing is what I think I was shocked by is just how small things are getting. Yeah. You got these small tracking devices you can put on equipment, but the tracking label, I think, tells you how the world is getting smaller and smaller. Yeah. These technologies are getting smaller. But the fact that this can hold a charge for 45 days is pretty insane.
Yeah, no, it is. It blows my mind. It's but that's what we do, right? We look at the very forefront of technology, and then we bring this to our customers and following exactly what the problems of our customers are. We're just out there listening all day on what are the problems, looking at the technologies, and then combining it, right? To make sure that everyone can really get the latest.
So what is the biggest mission in terms of when you wake up every day and you're thinking about, I want to solve this problem? Is there a project inside your business that you're most passionate about?
Yeah, up to me, it's about really bringing AI to people and augmenting individuals to help just relieve a lot of the troubles that are out there. That's probably the one thing that I'm most passionate about, just inserting and bringing AI into operations.
And just, is that an agentic technology? So
this is us building an agentic platform effectively. It's like a way, and this platform integrates into our customers' operations. It's getting all the data in various ways, making that available, and then we have AI effectively analyzing that, extracting and drawing conclusions. That can be things like maybe there's a fault code that we've gotten from an integration into vehicle. Then we look at the fault code and we understand, what is this? Is this important? Looking at all the data, what does this fault code typically lead to? But then having agents taking action. Maybe this vehicle then needs to be scheduled for repair. Maybe we should call the repair shop. Right? So we do the full stack. So that's like that agentic platform is really, that's going to be really something.
And I was just impressed with how broad the product portfolio has become from where you guys were a couple years ago. ELD devices were driven. You have the camera technology, but you've continued to go much broader than just where you guys started.
Yeah, and it's very simple, right? We just follow our customers, what their problems are, and then we help out with that. And that's why you see us branching into this. We're just being asked to do it, and then we do it. It's as simple as that.
And what is the biggest challenge? Is it the size? Is it the cost of these things that tend to be challenging as you're thinking about production? Is it, I mean, the AI technology is just happening so quickly. Yeah. But when you're thinking about product development, what is the one thing that really creates the constraints?
Yeah, I think it's probably around like ensuring that AI works inside the real world. Like that is functional for operations the way they are, and the messiness and all the deviations and things that are happening, that AI is creating value inside of that. And that requires you to go very deep in understanding what's actually happening on the ground, as well as understanding where AI is strong and what it needs, what is not as good at. So combining those to create real value that works in the real world, that's probably the hardest problem.
So we can't be here and on the floor of this event in the Tech Expo without asking you about the Samsara Beyond event and the community of your vendors and your customers, and what that means to you personally and to your organization.
I mean, this is the highlight of my year, you know, and so just seeing everyone, the bus here is amazing. It's like, I mean, thousands of people here. Like, so this is the highlight of the year for me and for us as a company and for our customers, and in particular for the customers coming together and learning from each other. You know, because they know this the best.
I feel like we're, I was opening the show talking about American reindustrialization, and it feels like as I walk through this exhibit hall, I feel like we're at the epicenter of that happening. AI data centers are being built. It's interesting because in logistics, we not only are benefiting from technology innovations around agentic and just AI in general, we're also seeing the impact of what it means from a demand standpoint. How are you guys helping position the organization and the industry best to take advantage of these technologies?
Yeah, I mean, I love that phrase, America's reindustrialization. That's great. And there's just so much creativity and capability and energy in our customers. So that's probably how we see ourselves fitting into that, just enabling them wherever they have problems and empowering with the latest technology. And that's also what we see. Like when I look at what the customers do with our things, it's like an enormous leap forward.
All right, so I want to take us into the future because I love where this is all headed. It's again just amazing to see the product lineup here, and anyone that's here that happens to be watching the show, go look at the amazing product lineup that you've got. Also, go to the website. What does the future look like 5 years from now when we come back to Beyond? What will we see?
I think then we've truly connected the whole thing. Like I've envisioned like a work site in the future where you have some autonomous things running around. You got all kinds of data that is coming in real time, and it all just fits together with humans in the loop on all of these things in an extremely efficient and safe way. That's sort of what I think that we will see here over the next few years, with AI being really integrated together with humans.
Yeah, this is such an amazing. I love the physical world meets AI.
Sure.
Julie, I think as someone who loves equipment, I'm still a boy inside. Like I get to have the job, and I'm sure you do as well. I have a 7-year-old son, and I'm doing his dream job. What he thinks he wants to do when he's growing up, I get to do it. I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it's like a toy store. Yeah. That's what it feels like. We have a garage nearby the office where we have all these toys set up, and it's like just so great fun.
The big heavy equipment. Yeah, isn't that cool? That's awesome. Well, we'll be right back, right from Las Vegas. Come back and join us.
Race car drivers like NASCAR champion Jesse Love are a lot like commercial drivers, pros. But even the best in the world still watch the tape to see what they missed and get better next time. So we created the Samsara driving coach.
Great race, Jesse, but you were following too closely and you were speeding.
Okay, you got me on that one.
Samsara uses insights from millions of professional drivers to coach drivers in real time.
Because even champions need a coach.
Give me the keys.
It's Samsara. It's Samsara. Sorry, I'm like, they're coaching me, and now I'm like tripped out about it.
The super successful people are part of the 1%. They're part of that very, very small percentage. That's why I don't want you to do things that everybody's doing. I want you to do the small things that nobody else is doing. The people that are most successful in this business treat it like it's the only thing that's bringing income into their household. If you do that, then you'll have the same results. These people operate like they have no other chance. They have nothing else going. This is the only breadwinner that they have in play. I'm Adam Wingfield, and this is the FreightWaves Playbook. Become part of the 1%. Sign up for FreightWaves Playbook today.
Well, welcome back to Las Vegas. We are here right in the heart of America reindustrialization and AI and equipment. Julie, I got to tell you, I'm super pumped about the future.
Yeah, well, this is your jam, first of all.
I love equipment. I still have a 7-year-old boy inside me.
Reindustrialization. We're going to talk about reindustrialization. That's your jam. We've got all this cool equipment around us. We're talking to smart people. Yeah, this is pretty great.
It's really awesome. We're going to get into LTL because this is obviously what happens when we talk about reindustrialization. LTL is at the center of that. And with us, we have Michael Owings. He is the VP of IT Solutions for Southeastern Freight Lines. Welcome to FreightWaves today.
Thank you, Craig. Julie, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're super happy to have you. You've been at Southeastern for 26 years. That's a long tenure.
Yes, sir.
Being not only in for one company, but being in trucking and seeing technology evolve.
That's right. When you start with the right company, the culture pulls you in. What I thought was going to be a building block of my career became my career.
So I got to ask, because I came from a large trucking background, do you still operate green screens, AS400s inside the box?
We still have some. We have some.
I think that is the classic technology of most legacy trucking companies. The AS400 is the box that runs the operating system for a lot of it. But you've built a lot of technology on top of it.
We have, and in many ways we've moved on, but we still have a lot of that legacy code.
All database.
A lot of work that needs to be put in place.
There's nothing like an AS400.
It's so stable. It's so stable.
I mean, it's interesting. When I was in trucking, we would enter all these GUIs and devices, but all the old dogs still prefer the green screen. That was the way it was. In fact, if you knew all the different things. But that's not what we're here to talk about, green screens. We are talking about the future here at Beyond. I think it's fitting in terms of what we're seeing. We've seen a lot of agentic technology that's being teased and talked about. AI. What are you most excited about?
I'm just excited about innovation. One of the things that brought Southeastern into this fold was an aging system with a previous provider. And so 5 years ago, I came to the first conference here. that decided 2 weeks later we signed a contract. We said this company's different. They innovate. They're investing in the future, and they have not stopped. Every year we come to the conference, we see more and more of what they're investing in, and we're excited about it.
What is it about? There's been a lot of technologies, ELD devices, sort of with the OG technology, but now we're moving to much more connected vehicles and connected operations. What about this specific package operating system are you most excited about?
Well, I'll say that for a large company, you have to be connected, right? Data has to be available both in the platform as well as out. So a new startup, they may use every bit of the platform and love it. With an existing company, you're going to plug and play and expect that to talk well with your system. It can't exist in a silo. Data has to be available at all times. And we've seen that. It has been for us. I've been very excited about that.
So Samsara has got a lot of new technology that they teased on stage.
That's right.
Anything that you're like, this is incredible, that you are really surprised by or perhaps really excited about?
Well, I'm happy with what we have, but seeing some of the new things, I was particularly struck by the 360 camera.
It's cool.
Me too.
It's so cool.
I want one.
That was really cool.
I'm a pilot, and I'm like, man, imagine what I could do with that. Now, I'm using it for very different purposes.
Sure.
I think this 360 camera is absolutely the coolest thing I saw today.
Yeah, I can imagine that on forklifts on the dock, so at any point in time you can look to see what a dock worker is doing, and there's a lot of
Do you see them
action.
going into the cab as well, or is it really dock as you're thinking about it?
I'm thinking dock because right now we're still in that gray space where we don't have driver-facing cameras. We only have forward-facing, and although a lot of people see benefit of going both ways, forward and driver-facing, there's still that perception of Big Brother's watching.
Well, I think drivers are very
Drivers have a hard time.
apprehensive. One of the things that I think I picked up is just the coaching and the idea that you have this effectively ride-along coach that's there with you, but it's hard if you don't have the driver facing to get that coaching.
And I think the industry will get there. I think for some companies like my own, though, our ownership probably won't push us in that direction until it's federally mandated. And until then, they're going to be like, we want our drivers happy. We're not going to put a camera in their face.
I can only imagine the comments on X right now about driver-facing cameras. They love them. They loved it. It's one of their favorite things to love.
So how do you guys marry that technology of building a relationship, coaching your drivers with people, but also using that technology to continue to make it better, more efficient?
Yeah, so our safety specialists, they get notifications in their inbox, and some of it is absolutely followed up on a one-to-one basis. Others, we use nudges and things like that in the cab. But really, we put the burden of accountability on the safety specialist. They have to decide which ones actually require follow-up, which don't. So I can see a point in time where we automate more of that than we do, and we have made incremental steps in that direction. But right now, it's still very, very manual. Yeah.
You've been coming to Beyond for years.
Yes.
Go back to a couple years ago when you first came here. What does the evolution of the technology look like over that time?
5 years ago, as I mentioned, we were not a customer yet. We became a customer shortly thereafter. We were very impressed with what we saw from an ELD perspective. It was just head and heels above what we came from. And taken to an extra step there, we had never had a camera on board before, besides collision mitigation. And so having that ability to see forward-facing video at any time for any driver, that was just head and heels above what we had. Super excited about that, and we enjoyed that so much that we later added asset gateways to our network. So we have 3,200 tractors with vehicle gateways and cameras, and then 12,000 trailers that are now tracked as well with AGs. So it gives us visibility we've never had before.
So tell us more about that, how that works in your operation. How did you guys successfully implement it for other people that might be thinking that it could be an advantage for them as well?
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion at times about, hey, you need to go get the trailer 1, 2, 3. Where is it? Where is it on the lot? And sometimes it takes driving around forever, and then they say, never mind, just get a different trailer if it's an empty.
And then
or whatever.
the drivers are so frustrated. And so
our users in the platform love to be able to point and say, here's your trailer, it's right here. And we're actually about to push to our drivers an application that uses Samsara data that says, find my trailer. Before they're dispatched, they hit a button. It's going to tell them where they can go pick it up on the lot. Super excited about that, and that's on the verge of going live now. So
that will be, I mean, especially as the market continues to get tighter, it's harder to retain and harder to recruit drivers. Anything you can do to lessen their frustration, and looking for a trailer is like one of the number one things that frustrates them, or having to Bob tell someone.
Shouldn't be that hard.
That should help so much with friction. That's amazing.
It's still, I think, data, it's not just the technology, it's the data integrity.
Absolutely.
How are you guys ensuring that the data integrity is built into the system?
So we're pretty particular about what we use. We test it thoroughly, and over time we've seen that the devices are getting better and better as far as being more accurate. So early generations, there's GPS drift built in, or there's logic built in of when it moves unpowered and how close can you get in proximity. And each release and each firmware update is getting tighter and tighter, and we love what we're seeing with that.
I remember back in the 90s when there was telecom devices first came out, there was like a 3-mile, you could identify it to a 3-mile radius, and it kept getting better and better and better, and now you're down to just, what, a couple feet?
Yeah, you can often tell exactly what parking space your trailer's in.
And I've even seen where you can go into a factory. We've done some studies on ELD devices and identifying what dock door specifically. There was a big shipper that had a lot of detention issues, so we started looking at the in and outs of that. It was one specific door that was causing all the problems.
Really?
It was this particular design, some production process that was causing the issues.
Interesting.
But that shipper got a really bad reputation because that one part of the warehouse was causing problems.
That's very interesting. Yeah.
So one of the other things that the technology that we saw today was tracking labels. Obviously, you guys are, as an LTL provider, are working alongside your shippers. Tracking labels are far more important in your business than a typical truckload. Let's talk a little bit about how you see that technology being impactful.
That's something that's been interesting to me for a number of years, whether it be Bluetooth now or RF before. It's always been cost prohibitive to this point, but I think the cost is coming down as technology improves. But to me, it's more about scale. If you are tracking a load, that's easy. If you're tracking individual shipments in every trailer, and a company our size is close to 40,000 shipments a day, that's a lot of individual trackers. And so you want it to be able to be priced correctly so that you can scale with it.
And is that a pitch on the cost?
Perhaps, yeah.
But the great thing is the technology is getting so, the thing about technology is it gets cheaper and cheaper over time. As companies innovate, typically on the front end, it's more expensive. It does come down.
Right.
One of the things I was shocked about is the fact that the batteries are 45 days.
Yeah.
That is absolutely insane that you can have this printed label. You'll never know that there's a device in it or embedded in it, but it still has this crazy long battery life.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I see a lot of benefit of it, but to Samsara's benefit, they already make the data available. So we're tracking where every trailer is, and so our own system associates every piece of freight with that. So we have a pretty good feel where the freight is today. Now, that doesn't mean something doesn't get misrouted.
Yeah, misrouting is a problem. Cargo theft.
If you had an individual tracker per piece of freight, you'd find that misrouted freight much more quickly.
So would this be a technology that your customers and your shippers would go buy and then use you, because you have the operating system built into your trucks, into your equipment on the dock, or is this something that you guys would take the lead and actually do?
So it could be either one. I've thought about that. But after seeing this morning, I'm like, what would we do? Would we offer it to customers so that they can literally see where their freight is at all times? There's good and bad in that.
Yeah.
But for us, again, you sometimes have misrouted freight. You may have a single shipment that's 4 different pallets, 3 end up here and 1 one goes into no man's land, and it takes you a few days to find it.
Yeah. If ever.
This could, oh, come on, you always find it.
Not Southeastern, but some of your competitors do misroute freight.
Yeah.
You do.
I hear it happens. So.
Rumor has it that some of your competitors, only your competitors.
But this could help with that, for sure.
But cargo theft is also a big issue. Freight theft, fraud, big issue. How are you guys really working on that problem internally? What are best practices that you see as it relates to technology?
So that has been a bit of a gray area over the years, and it's changed a couple of times. And that's more to how much GPS data do you want to share? So if you, back to the tracking a piece of freight, if you want a customer to know where that freight is every second of the day, you do open yourself up. Some of the wrong people can know where it is too.
Well, that's the problem. Like,
so
it's an arms race.
Guardrails.
The criminals are getting smarter and smarter.
Yes.
They only have to be right once. Or what's the old adage? You got to protect 100%. They only have to be right once.
That's right.
And that's the issue. But what are the things that sort of best practices that companies should do? Someone that's in a similar role at another company, what do you think is best practice for really mitigating cargo theft?
That's not my wheelhouse. I'd be making it up if I gave you an answer here. I really don't have a good answer to that.
Is there any technology that you're really excited about, you think that really mitigates it?
I defer to our safety team. I don't have a good answer there, unfortunately.
All right, so if you think about specific opportunities or issues that are top of mind for you within your organization that you'd be willing to share, and then how you're using technology to solve those, that would be awesome.
I think Samsara has been great in that it's not just a platform. It's not, you don't have to go into the platform to get every answer. Because it's integrated in our system, it flows with everything else we have. And that, to me, that's the most important thing. Because you want to be able to, if we wanted to plug in Samsara for three more things, we could. We could turn it on because it would flow so well. That's exciting.
So integration.
Yeah. Integration's 100%. Yes.
So Michael, I'd be remiss, and you may not want to answer this, but the Great Freight Recession looks like it's coming out of recovery. How are you guys thinking about? Did you make a substantial amount of investments during the recession? Did you guys pull back on technology investing? And are you thinking differently about CapEx this year?
We're taking a closer look at it for sure. I wouldn't say we pulled much back. We felt like for 9 months we're about to come out of this.
Everybody,
fingers crossed.
I got it wrong. I did rest in peace, Great Freight Recession. Totally lived that one down in 24. But this year it does feel like things are ripping.
Well, I don't know our tonnage, but our freight bills per day has definitely jumped up, and it seems to be sustained. So I feel like we're on the other side of it.
Now, does that make your life easier when you go and talk about investing? Is it with the executives, the CFO is happier? Because look, it's been a miserable market for a couple of years, and a lot of companies, it felt like at one point we were never going to. Everyone who's been around freight knows that this is a cycle, but it did feel like at the bottom of it, you're like, man, is this ever going to end?
It stretched a little longer than we would have all liked, but again, I feel like we're through it. I really do.
In your region of the country, yes. We talk about reindustrialization right here. It's really feels like we're at the epicenter of what's happening around the country with reindustrialization. The South has been one of the major beneficiaries of growth. How does that position you guys well for the future?
I mean, the South is growing. Yeah, we're in a 13-state region, and if you look at the largest growing cities across the U.S., we have quite a few of them. Yeah. And when freight was down, even though we're growing, you know that that's setting you up for future growth.
Yeah.
Because once the freight's back, it's a much larger.
You guys are in a great position. I think something like 70% of the job growth is at Texas over to.
Right.
I think it goes up to.
Texas is huge.
I mean, Texas is huge. It's growing, but so is places like Tennessee, Georgia. The Carolinas are on fire.
Yeah.
I grew up, as a Chattanooga native, and the South was sort of a backwater in the 80s. Like, if you were like, hey, you live in the South, it no longer is that way.
Now it's booming.
Everyone wants to move into the Carolinas, into Tennessee. It's really happening.
Yeah, I love being there.
It's amazing. So what are you most excited about? Anything that you're particularly excited about today?
I was excited about the keynote, honestly. That was very cool. We talked about the labels. We talked about the 360 camera. Those two just shine to me.
We need to figure out how to get the 360 label on my airplane, Julie.
The camera.
The camera. I love. Sorry, the 360 camera.
Just be able to show it on here.
I know.
So cool.
Getting some B-roll. It is absolutely one of the coolest technologies that I've seen introduced in physical technologies that's here.
Yeah. When my kids start driving, I want one of those in their car.
Well, we're going to be right back from Vegas. We'll continue on our conversation with some of the leaders in the industry. Stay with us.
It's National Safety Month, which makes this a great time to ask how your fleet can prevent more accidents. Samsara AI detects risks in real time, giving teams more visibility into what's happening on the road and more context to coach drivers before risky moments become incidents. Fleets using Samsara Complete AI Safety Solution have reduced crash rates by nearly 75%. See the data behind the results in the Samsara Safety Report at samsara.com/FreightWaves.
Race car drivers like NASCAR champion Jesse Love are a lot like commercial drivers, pros. But even the best in the world still watch the tape to see what they missed and get better next time. So we created the Samsara Driving Coach.
Great race, Jesse, but you were following too closely and you were speeding.
Okay, you got me on that one.
Samsara uses insights from millions of professional drivers to coach drivers in real time.
Because even champions need a coach.
Give me the keys.
What's the masterclass all about? Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're a driver, you're an owner-operator, you're a fleet owner, whether you're in compliance services, dispatcher, no matter what it is, masterclass is for you. Every 2 weeks, you're going to sit down with me, and we're going to go over certain business topics that are related specifically to your small trucking company operations. We're going to help you with everything from compliance to how to negotiate better on the spot board, how to find direct freight, and everything in between. This is the reason why you don't want to miss out on masterclass. It's about an hour to an hour and a half, and then on top of that, you'll have the library to you so that way you can always research and reflect back onto it. Don't miss out this opportunity. This is built specifically for you. I'm excited, and I hope to see you in class.
Imagine a world where your freight moves as fast as a digital pulse. What if your visibility didn't just tell you where a truck was, but exactly where it needed to be 48 hours from now? Think of a logistics network that corrects its own mistakes before they cost you a single dime. What if your supply chain could think for itself? Imagine AI agents negotiating rates in milliseconds, predictive models that solve labor shortages before they even happen. This isn't science fiction, it's the agenda. On July 15th at the historic Old Post Office in Chicago, FreightWaves presents the Supply Chain AI Symposium. We are defining in real time how AI is embedded into every mile, every warehouse, and every handshake. Because in 2026, the future isn't just coming, it's already negotiating. The FreightWaves Supply Chain AI Symposium. Secure your spot now.
All right, welcome back. We are again live here at the Samsara Beyond event in Las Vegas, and we are joined now by Angie Acocella. We are going to talk about the freight market. We are going to talk about her publication on the state of practice of digital technologies and tech and what's going on in this cool event. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So let's talk a little bit before we get started, because the audience wants to know, what is the state of the freight market right now?
Yeah. So we are now fully out of the last 4 years of a soft market, right? We have seen a lot of indicators that we are now going into this new tight market, which I know for the last year, we've all been thinking about when is that going to happen. We are currently in the new market.
And when do you think that started from your perspective? What does your data say?
Yeah, from the last, I would say 4 months or so. So from the springtime, we were really seeing those indicators start to go up, and now they're staying up, right? So that's where we know that we've been in this market.
And the big question that I think, or call it debate, is how much of this is driven by lack of capacity and supply versus demand?
Yeah, so I think this is probably the first time in a long time where it's become from a capacity side. We're seeing so many indicators of either carriers going out of the market, or carriers that are not able to find the drivers that they need because of the regulations that have been coming in, right? All of those things where, in the past it's typically been demand driven. We see a much stronger economy, so people are buying more and we see more demand. Here we're actually seeing the supply side be the main indicator.
Do you also think that we are going to start to see a pickup in demand? We have a lot of shippers ask us, when is that coming? We think that the manufacturing and industrial economy being strong is a precursor to that, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think it is. I think the biggest thing has been all the uncertainty on the demand side. So the tariffs for the past couple of years that have delayed the demand side. Now that there's a little bit more certainty around what can the administration actually do, what can't they, where are there going to be guardrails around that, that's allowing companies to have a little bit more certainty about what they're doing, and so that'll add the demand.
Angie, do you think that the reindustrialization or the driving of call it the reemergence of industrialization, is really driven by pent-up CapEx demand that was sort of held on the sidelines, or do you think there's something else going on?
I think, and maybe we can get into this a little bit, I think this boom in digital technologies and how can we actually have a more efficient supply chain, a more efficient transportation, I think that's a big piece of companies starting to open their eyes a little bit about, well, what can we actually do and how can we do things more cost effectively?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like as I'm walking through here, I'm seeing these big contracting displays. I'm seeing the future of school buses, waste management truck. It feels like we're at the sort of where American reindustrialization is actually taking place. This is a feature of it. And of course, AI is built in all of this. You've come to this event specifically to check out technologies, but to also continue to expand your understanding of what's happening. How would you describe what you're seeing right now on the ground here in Vegas?
Yeah, so this relates to actually, and Julie, you talked about this earlier, this research that I was looking at of, there's so much talk about what can digital technology do, what can AI do, and so I wanted to ask, well, what's actually being done on the ground, right? So what are companies actually doing, particularly in transportation? I'm a freight transportation girl. And so what I wanted to look at was, I interviewed a number of practitioners from different industries, from different, fleet owners to outsourced 3PLs, 4PLs, data service providers, and trying to understand what's being done. And I think the biggest thing is that the data quality, the data integration, the data aggregation is the biggest bottleneck. So we see all sorts of things that can happen, right? But the quality of the data, where it's coming from, how it's siloed, how much time it takes to manually clean data, that's going to be our biggest bottleneck from where we are today to the future that we're seeing from all of these technologies.
I think you're absolutely right. We talk about that a lot, that data is the moat, right? Like that is what's going to be the competitive advantage for organizations going forward, is that they're feeding whatever model they're using that's AI with the appropriate data. Yeah. So that's an amazing call out. So what do you recommend? How do they do it?
Yeah, so I think the first is we're seeing a staged approach to how AI and digital technologies are integrated, right? From a solution-oriented kind of what's the problem that we have, what's a solution for that versus, an end-to-end type of solution. I think the other thing that I've heard a lot in my interviews is that these AI technologies in particular, they are really good at answering questions that we know to ask already, right? So I know I need to look at, which carriers are not performing well, what lanes are underutilized, things like that. Where AI and where these practitioners are really looking for solutions is how can AI help me understand questions that I didn't even know to ask, right? So it's being more push-driven intelligence where I don't have to be thinking of every question that I need to ask.
So one of the things that a lot of folks about AI is they spend a lot of money, and it feels as if, or at least company reports those, they're not getting the ROIs that they want.
Yeah.
where are the most successful applications and investments coming from?
Yeah, totally. So I think they're where you're helping the analyst make decisions, but not actually make the decisions for them, right? So it's in dashboarding, it's in highlighting where are their issues. So in terms of procurement, assessing and measuring carrier decisions, carrier behaviors, carrier performance. A little bit, we're seeing a little bit in trying to figure out how to use agents to price and pricing mechanisms. That's actually an area we're going to go into a little bit more in our research, is how do you use AI and digital tools in pricing mechanisms. I think there's a lot of interest there, but we got to figure out the best way to do that.
And of course, this is a lot of this is about physical hardware that's here in Vegas. Where is the intersection of AI technology and physical hardware having the most impact?
Yeah, I think in visualization and traceability, I think Samsara talked about this earlier today about knowing where your freight is, knowing where your fleet is, having analytics on your, what's leading to detention or lateness, things like that. So I think the integration of like in the cab to then pull out some insights is really interesting.
And of course, safety is top of mind. Safety. Everybody's thinking about the fact that they want their drivers to be safe, but you have this friction point between we talked about it earlier with Southeastern Freight Lines, is this idea that drivers, we were talking about the coolest technology I think here is the 360 camera.
Yeah, that was
It's really awesome. Great. I think the question is, how do you balance the driver's quality of life, their concerns about privacy with the technology and ensuring the most safe implementation?
Right, because the technology is there to help them, but there's also this element of, I don't want to be on camera all the time, right? And so this balance between safety, helping in efficiencies for the driver and helping them do their job better and safer and more efficiently.
Yeah, so I think that is, and that's one of the things you actually call out in the research, that relationships outperform transactions, right? And so marrying the two with arming them with the appropriate data, and I don't know how fleets do that, if it's that they get the data from the 360 cameras and they have a person actually coaching them. But what are your recommendations for how to continue to marry, AI with actually continuing to build those relationships and humans? And then I have one follow-up on technology too.
I think that's one of the key things that came out for me, was that the AI, at least today, cannot incorporate all of the context, right? The AI models are getting much better at taking in more context and more tokens, right? But to be able to then understand like the nuances of human dynamics, human relationships. We did some work a number of years ago, and a more recent one on back to the market dynamics, the relationship between shippers and carriers as markets shift from soft to tight and back to soft, and how, especially for shippers, those relationships really matter, right? They want to rely on providers that they can trust, that have had their back in the past. And so I think back to these AI technologies being a helper for decision making, as here's a suggested solution, but it's still a human in the loop solution, right? It's still me as a provider or as a manager that's making that final decision.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so decision making, pricing, technology. I want to go back to the basics. RFPs are still done in Excel. Yes. Like shippers are still using Excel, brokers and carriers are still using Excel. Why do you think the hesitancy to continue to adopt new technologies and move that process forward?
I think so hard. Yeah, I think a little bit of the complexity of it all, back to like data. The data's coming from everywhere. A little bit of just everyone knows it, right? Like everyone comes in and knows how to use email and Excel. And a little bit of, at this point, there's kind of a little bit of a wait and see of which solutions are going to be the best that are going to also integrate with the rest of my services, the rest of my platforms. Yep. So some larger kind of TMSs are offering a little bit, but it's a matter of kind of which technology is which provider is going to step in there.
And it's just not standardized at all in Excel. I mean, that's the reason why we have an Excel add-in at Sonar, because everyone uses it and you can manipulate it however you need to. So
I think AI will eventually make that lack of standardization become easier to adopt. Yeah. One of the things I want to talk about is a lot of conversation around safety, liability. Obviously, Montgomery, the Montgomery decision by SCOTUS. Shippers are now on notice.
Yes.
There's a lot of questions about plaintiffs' attorneys will exploit this regardless of whether shippers actually are liable, they're definitely going to be tested in court. How are you seeing providers really prepare themselves to help their shippers mitigate liability and demonstrate better safety?
Yeah, I think a little bit on that visibility, right? So using data to demonstrate that, we have a history of safety, we have a history of our drivers are vetted and things like that. And again, using data to be able to demonstrate this is a strong relationship. So when I say a relationship in shipper carrier dynamics, I mean, does my provider or my customer know my business really well and know what I need? So when I'm a provider, recognizing that my customers need safety, they need to know that I'm going to take responsibility for the services that I provide, we can use data historically and say, look, this is my track record.
And is there a technology here that is table stakes at this point that a fleet must invest in order to actually demonstrate to shippers that they're safe?
You're putting me on the spot here. Just name and technology. I wouldn't say there's one in particular. I'm also kind of the wait and see of like, let's see who. I think there's going to be a little bit of an aggregation of the providers. Right now, there's a lot, right? And so I think we need maybe another year to see who are the main players, and there's going to be a little bit of aggregation of providers.
Lots of technology. It does feel like we're on the cusp of so many things that are cool, right at the depths of it. Things are getting smaller, by the way, which is absolutely cool and so much more useful. We'll be right back from Las Vegas. Stay with us.
Race car drivers like NASCAR champion Jesse Love are a lot like commercial drivers, pros. But even the best in the world still watch the tape to see what they missed and get better next time. So we created the Samsara driving coach.
Great race, Jesse, but you were following too closely and you were speeding.
Okay, you got me on that one.
Samsara uses insights from millions of professional drivers to coach drivers in real time.
Because even champions need a coach.
Give me the keys.
The super successful people are part of the 1%. They're part of that very, very small percentage. That's why I don't want you to do things that everybody's doing. I want you to do the small things that nobody else is doing. The people that are most successful in this business treat it like it's the only thing that's bringing income into their household. If you do that, then you'll have the same results. These people operate like they have no other chance. They have nothing else going. This is the only breadwinner that they have in play. I'm Adam Wingfield, and this is the FreightWaves Playbook. Become part of the 1%. Sign up for FreightWaves Playbook today.
Imagine a world where your freight moves as fast as a digital pulse. What if your visibility didn't just tell you where a truck was, but exactly where it needed to be 48 hours from now? Think of a logistics network that corrects its own mistakes before they cost you a single dime. What if your supply chain could think for itself? Imagine AI agents negotiating rates in milliseconds, predictive models that solve labor shortages before they even happen. This isn't science fiction, it's the agenda. On July 15th at the historic Old Post Office in Chicago, FreightWaves presents the Supply Chain AI Symposium. We are defining in real time how AI is embedded into every mile, every warehouse, and every handshake. Because in 2026, the future isn't just coming, it's already negotiating. the FreightWaves Supply Chain AI Symposium. Secure your spot now.
Race car drivers like NASCAR champion Jesse Love are a lot like commercial drivers, pros. But even the best in the world still watch the tape to see what they missed and get better next time. So we created the Samsara driving coach.
Great race, Jesse, but you were following too closely and you were speeding.
Okay, you got me on that one.
Samsara uses insights from millions of professional drivers to coach drivers in real time.
Because even champions need a coach.
Give me the keys.
The super successful people are part of the 1%. They're part of that very, very small percentage. That's why I don't want you to do things that everybody's doing. I want you to do the small things that nobody else is doing. The people that are most successful in this business treat it like it's the only thing that's bringing income into their household. If you do that, then you'll have the same results. These people operate like they have no other chance. They have nothing else going. This is the only breadwinner that they have in play. I'm Adam Wingfield, and this is the FreightWaves Playbook. Become part of the 1%. Sign up for FreightWaves Playbook today.
Today, live from Las Vegas. It's been some cool conversations so far.
We're here at, it feels like, again, the epicenter of technology innovation, hardware innovation, American reindustrialization, lots to be excited about. Look, I think it's fitting. You know, a couple weeks ago, we had Webb Estes up, who was our first guest ever from FreightWaves today.
It was, yeah.
And here we're going to bring it into the technology side. We have Todd Florence. He's the Chief Information Officer of Estes. Todd, welcome to FreightWaves today.
Thanks for having me.
Live from Las Vegas. What are you here looking to do?
So a lot of what we're doing here is building on that partnership that we have with Samsara, like looking at connected vehicles. How can we improve safety? How can we improve efficiency? How do we leverage that partnership better as we kind of try to improve everything in the transportation space?
Yeah, I mean, so many things are happening. I've got to ask, because I ask everybody this, what are you thinking about the freight market right now?
Oh, the freight market right now is a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Like things have been up and down, like, and a little bit disjointed, right? But we're seeing good volumes. We've got good capacity. We're taking good care of our customers, seeing good service. So I think things will continue to work themselves out.
Are you guys seeing things increase? When we had Webb on a couple of weeks ago, he was pretty bullish and constructive about the state of the market.
Yeah, there's a lot good going on, right? You're in the spring. It's usually a good season for LTL. Yeah. So you're seeing a lot of freight movement in that space. There's always some contention with fuel being where it is, the troubles in the Middle East, those sorts of things. But things have been really healthy. The company's been doing really well. We're moving a lot of freight for a lot of folks.
I mean, you guys did a massive expansion. You benefited from Yellow going out of business. You bought a lot of facilities, but also in technology, as you're thinking about bringing this much larger network together, this much larger business together, how have you guys been invested in technology over the last couple of years?
Oh, at a rapid pace. I mean, if you go back 5 years, let's say, the transportation industry as a whole was very behind, right? Like, it was a lot of, let's tell you what happened yesterday. And what's happened is this huge acceleration, this huge desire for data. and people want to know everything in real time all of the time. So tons of investment in building systems together to improve the trust and transparency across the freight ecosystem so that we can provide data in real time. Like if you order things at home, you expect to know where it is, when it's going to be there, all those sorts of things. But that exists across the entire B2B, B2C supply chain, and you've seen massive investments going into that space, not only locally for us, but across the industry.
And what is it, in terms of these investments, so much of technology is bled out in the bleeding edge. Everybody who runs a large company has made investments that haven't given the returns. What is the technology that you're most bullish about in terms of what could actually do to change the way you operate your business?
Yeah, there's a lot of different areas for that. I think partially I'm contractually obligated to say artificial intelligence or AI. But really a lot of that comes down to is how can you effectively make the data available so that you can drive insights from that data, whether it's old school machine learning doing route efficiency and equipment efficiency to the more generative AI improving those back and forth and experiences. While I do think there are areas where it's very much overhyped, it is also a very practical reality these days that it is embedded across the entire ecosystem and leveraged across a number of systems. Putting those insights and power into end users' hands is way more important than somebody who works in my department being able to build a spreadsheet or pull data together.
Yeah, and where is it underhyped? Where do you think we are seeing the impacts in terms of AI in the enterprise?
I really think it's probably underhyped in that space of taking your everyday user of any system and their ability to generate insights at their fingertips. Like historically, you may have had a question that you really wanted to ask, and you had to daisy chain yourself between 7 people at the company to get access to the data to be able to begin to start answering it, and now you can just ask. And we can do that in natural language, right? That natural language shift is a huge accelerator, and it helps improve safety, it helps improve efficiency, marketing, et cetera, across the board. It's really hard to measure, but it's really easy to feel.
One of the big use cases I've seen for AI is you have all this data flowing through your business. You've got sensors and devices, and you're monitoring everything from what's happening on the dock, what's happening to trucks, what's happening to create safety, the J-bus, all of this data that's flowing. Oftentimes, companies are overwhelmed with how to map that and visualize it. It seems like AI is actually one of the primary use cases, or best use cases today, is this visualization layer.
Yeah, you take a lot of these different aspects of these data sets. To your point, we've got data off, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of sensors out in the field. We've got data, shipment level data. We've got customer preference data. We've got operational preference data, all of those sorts of things. And in the past, it's really hard for a person to try to visualize all those things and how they interact with one another. Nowadays, you're able to layer those AI tools over top of that and look for those insights and see that visualization.
So, Todd, in terms of where we're going from here, there's this promise of agentic AI, but it feels like we're sort of the very early innings of it.
Yeah.
How long do you think it's going to take to get to a place of agentic technology?
If I had that crystal ball, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be day trading. The real problem is right now AI is kind of like everybody's favorite new candy, right? Like they're applying it to everything where you don't need it for everything, right? So it's finding those use cases where it can actually help you. It can surface an insight. It can make a user's life easier, and drilling into the ROI on those. But from a timeline perspective, we're seeing step level changes every 90 days, right? So things that weren't possible 6 months ago are possible now. Things that today I would tell you I don't think we could do 90 days from now we'll be able to. It's accelerating really quickly. The hard part is determining where the value is, not can it do it.
So give us a tangible example of where you are using AI inside of Estes and it's working.
Sure. So there's several use cases, right? And I can talk a little bit about agentic, I guess. So being able to do things we always wanted to do but couldn't do before. So as an example, in the freight world, not every shipper always has all of their freight ready. You'd love to call every shipper and say, hey, is the freight available before we send equipment out, before we do this, those sorts of things. So trying to reduce that level of friction. So we're already using agentic AI to make phone calls to shippers to just make sure the freight's ready, right?
Confirm
being able to get that information back. We're leveraging voice agents to survey our drivers, right? The drivers would prefer to talk to an agent than they would fill out a form. So we're getting much richer survey data back from our drivers about how to improve their day-to-day experience by leveraging voice agents to have that conversation.
That's such a great idea because they can actually, if they're hands-free, do it while they're driving instead of stop to fill out a form, right?
Exactly. And then one of the other places, right? Everybody loves email. Right? Well, agents don't mind email, and they can go through, summarize, categorize, and help move some of those channels. So instead of trying to force our customers or our employees into a channel that they don't want to be in, so API or EDI or whatever that channel is, we can allow them to operate with us in whatever channel they want and leverage the AI to make that efficient.
That's very cool. How are the drivers reacting to the AI agents doing the surveys? Like, have there been any comments about why is it AI instead of an actual person? Like, have there been any?
No, we haven't really gotten any of that, and I may be off a few percentage points in either direction, but I believe in our last survey, 85% of the drivers surveyed said that they would take a voice agent survey again. As opposed to like when you give them paper surveys, let me just say the number's never anywhere near 85%.
So they're happy to have the opportunity to give their feedback.
Yeah,
That's great.
And I think at some level they do enjoy the interaction while they're like sitting idle or in the cab when it's in a safe space.
They feel heard. I think that's always the important thing. So Todd, you've been in freight since 2020, which I think we had 2 cycles in 2020. We had the upcycle, the crash, and then the recovery. You've been really, since the majority of your career has been the freight recession. Gotta ask, what has been the most surprising thing when you joined Estes and just joined the trucking industry back in 2020? What have you been most surprised by?
So I would say a couple of things, Craig. One is, to be fair, coming into it from the outside, having worked in financial services and insurance and those areas, I'm like, I'll be honest, I was probably a little arrogant, and I was like, how complicated can this be? It's wonderfully fascinating. It's wonderfully complicated. I love the ability to work with all of our employees and really make an impactful difference on people's lives. And there's no shortage of problems to solve. Right. So the ability to like work and take something that is and has been historically a commodity and make it feel very personal and user based and improve people's lives has been a lot more fulfilling than I anticipated it to be.
What do you think?
Sucks you right in.
What do you think? It gets diesel in your blood,
This
right? You
industry
have diesel in your
sucks
blood.
you in.
Exactly.
No,
I'm not going anywhere.
It's Hotel California. You can check in, but you can never check out. That's the problem.
That's right.
The idea that you wrote a white paper, innovation is for everyone.
Yep.
What exactly were you trying to say in that white paper?
So there's, in that concept, right? Like, sure, there are top-down innovation initiatives, these big swings, those sorts of things. But really, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is make shipping frictionless, right? And the full statement that I put out is make shipping frictionless for our employees and our customers. Take care of our people, they can take care of our customers. In that, the only way to drive true innovation across a large enterprise is to get that bottom up. Like, I want to hear from our folks. I meet with our people all the time. We've rolled out citizen development programs because the best ideas come from the people that are dealing with the friction.
Yeah.
Like, I can sit in my office. My job's easy. Like, I sit in an office and I make decisions and I do that kind of stuff. I'm not moving freight every day. I want to hear from the folks that are moving freight every day and tell me what's going to make their life easier.
So what was the most befuddling thing? You're like, this can't be the case, and you found out it was when you got into the industry. That really just shocked you.
Our inability to get to a standard bill of lading. That really,
that's just scratching the surface.
Yeah, but
we didn't talk about EDI.
No, like, well, and EDI exists everywhere, right? Like, so we've gotten to that spot where I just separate the channel from the message. If I can give you the same answer, I honestly don't care what channel you use. But yeah, the amount of diversity in the industry around freight bills and data and that kind of stuff, and why people thought it was so hard, like, was really surprising to me coming from the outside.
Do you think the insurance and financial services is easier because you have regulators that sort of are forcing the action, or is it just because in those businesses you're effectively transferring information, whereas in our business you got to deal with the physical world, which is in 3 dimensions, very different than passing information over?
Yeah, it is, and you hit on a couple of things, right? Like, strong regulatory agencies enforce consistency. They don't always, and I'm not saying these industries aren't innovative, but they don't drive innovation. So that consistency helps with that data transfer, absolutely. I think the other thing that happened in the freight industry is people thought of it as a commodity and they thought of it as moving things. And what we've seen over the last 5 or 6 years, the data and the information about the freight is as important, if not in some cases more important than the physical freight itself. So as that accelerates, people have bigger desires, broader visions, those sorts of things. So you've seen more investment in that space, and it's starting to simplify and make those things easier.
Yeah, so many problems to solve, technology. I feel like we're just at the early innings of all of this. Todd, it's been an amazing conversation.
I know, I wish you had more time. This is great.
I know, I'm upset at my production crew for cutting us off, but they gotta do their thing. We'll be right back from Las Vegas. Stay with us. Thanks.
That was great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
We created the Samsara driving coach.
Great race, Jesse, but you were following too closely and you were speeding.
Okay, you got me on that one.
Samsara uses insights from millions of professional drivers to coach drivers in real time.
Because even champions need a coach.
Give me the keys.
What's the masterclass all about? Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're a driver, you're an owner-operator, you're a fleet owner, whether you're in compliance services, dispatcher, no matter what it is, masterclass is for you. Every 2 weeks, you're going to sit down with me and we're going to go over certain business topics that are related specifically to your small trucking company operations. We're going to help you with everything from compliance to how to negotiate better on the spot board, how to find direct freight, and everything in between. This is the reason why you don't want to miss out on masterclass. It's about an hour to an hour and a half, and then on top of that, you'll have the library to you so that way you can always research and reflect back onto it. Don't miss out this opportunity. This is built specifically for you. I'm excited and I hope to see you in class.
Imagine a world where your freight moves as fast as a digital pulse. What if your visibility didn't just tell you where a truck was, but exactly where it needed to be 48 hours from now? Think of a logistics network that corrects its own mistakes before they cost you a single dime. What if your supply chain could think for itself? Imagine AI agents negotiating rates in milliseconds, predictive models that solve labor shortages before they even happen. This isn't science fiction, it's the agenda. On July 15th at the historic Old Post Office in Chicago, FreightWaves presents the Supply Chain AI Symposium. We are defining in real time how AI is embedded into every mile, every warehouse, and every handshake. Because in 2026, the future isn't just coming, it's already negotiating. The FreightWaves Supply Chain AI Symposium. Secure your spot now.
FreightWaves today, live from Las Vegas. We are now joined by our next guest, Tozda Cernilovich, who is Head of Strategic Partnerships at Element Fleet Management. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate the time.
Tell us a little bit about your organization, what Element Fleet Management does, the services you offer, and then how that technology is helping assist that.
Sure. Thank you for the invite here. Element Fleet is a fleet management company, so we manage the entire life cycle of the vehicle, from helping procure and purchase vehicles up front to manage everything that happens during the life of the vehicle and then selling it on the back end. And we've partnered with Samsara over the past year. Samsara provides a lot of real-time data for us that helps us make more intelligent decisions with the fleets that we manage.
So I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
How does that connected vehicle, the data that you're able to procure, wrangle, use, help with that fleet management? Does it help not only with cost and efficiency, does it help with like predictive maintenance? What do you guys use it for that's most beneficial?
Yeah, so if you simplify people driving vehicles or large amounts of vehicles, fleets, you start getting economies of scale. You're operating 1,000 units. You really, all the things that happen on that vehicle are siloed into operating teams on our side. That can be maintenance. The vehicle could get into an accident. The vehicle needs fuel, and all those individual ops groups rely on data, right? And traditionally, you're kind of managing it with a credit card instrument, and we're managing cost. And what Samsara has really brought to the table and changed the game tremendously in the past 5 to 10 years is this concept of better data, right? Real-time data. So we're able to act on diagnostic codes within the maintenance work stream to understand that, hey, yes, this gentleman brought a vehicle in just for a PM or a oil change, but these two items are also showing up. You should take a look at these two items as well. So that's really making it, it's turned fleet management really from a reactive industry into a lot more proactive and bring a lot more value to our customers.
How has that changed your business specifically? As you add better data, you're able to prevent maintenance. Has that enabled you guys to launch new products, new offerings?
Oh my, yeah. We're thinking of things a lot differently with data, right? Like we are launching, we're constantly thinking of the digitized community and kind of element mobility. We're more of a mobility player than a traditional like fleet management company. But that it's really shaping how we go to market with everything. I'm trying to think of, if you look at like even the maintenance product, right? Like when we're thinking about, hey, how do we traditionally, like where can our teams help? We kind of got boots on the ground when it comes to maintenance. If someone fills out a DVIR form, Samsara does these DVIR forms electronically, and they go to somebody, right? There's a ton of data that you still need to act on to make it useful. Our teams can act on that now instantly. So that DVIR form, there's 4 fields that trigger, hey, this vehicle needs to be taken out of service. It's a safety issue, and we want to get it repaired as soon as possible. Our teams can actually make the phone calls, get that vehicle into a repair shop, get it out of the repair shop and back in service quickly. It's great that the data's there, but someone needs to act on the data, and I feel like we take the role of acting on that data.
And that it's real-time data that allows you to do that in a timely and efficient manner.
Correct.
I'm sure incredibly valuable.
Yeah, very valuable.
So what is it that you think that you guys do best? Where are you leveraging technology best to serve your clients?
It's in the, right, like the value we have, we bring tech into the entire life cycle of the vehicle. So we really have a holistic view into the total cost of ownership of that fleet, cost of the vehicle, whether they're financing or leasing it, and we can act on the data in an intelligent manner, kind of addressing the broader policies of that organization and the goals they're going after. For example, it's pretty simple to identify underutilized assets with technology today. Hey, these vehicles aren't moving. Why? Now we have financial mechanisms to kind of, hey, we could sell that vehicle so it's not sitting there anymore. We could restructure financing in the background. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we're trying to control that total cost. So I think bringing that holistic picture, that's where we bring and drive value above and beyond just the data piece.
Jose, you mentioned total cost of ownership. That is the lifeblood of every fleet thinking about their operations. A lot of conversations about EVs, and the big question is, what is the total cost of ownership of an EV? What does your data say?
So I wish we had our consulting team, because I think I'd give you a straight number as the answer. There is a number out there, and I think everyone operates in a unique manner and an independent manner, but you're all of a sudden taking into account real estate, charging infrastructure. So EV is a completely different mindset and ballgame. I kind of compare fleet, right? Like you see a lot of logistics companies here in Class 8, transport operators, and you see traditional fleet, which is, I'd call it the lighter duty fleets, right? And then EV is kind of like this third group of like, it's a completely different mindset on how and what you're managing and what the costs are to it. We recently just publicly announced a relationship with Waymo, which is an all EV, all autonomous fleet, and we're helping them manage all the boots on the ground in their vehicle fleet. So it's an exciting time. We think we differentiate ourselves by having access to broader EV companies and having that data come in-house and coming up with the life cycle cost models that are unique and independent from a traditional gas fleet.
Yeah, I mean, EV makes complete sense in a small vehicle because the physics work better.
Correct.
When you get into the heavier vehicles, which are featured here, EV it's got a lot of attention, but the practicality of it is always the concern. Total cost of ownership, operation efficiency, operation dependency. Is that changing, or do you think there's a significant gap between the desire and the practical application around EV?
I believe there's a gap there. You're spot on with how you classified it, and I think the industry is beginning to realize that in the Class 8 space, it's a tremendous cost to get these, and it's really the downtime of the charging. It's a great driving experience. It's fantastic, and it's just, I think it's not there yet on the
and the physical, having the physical charging infrastructure.
There's a lot. Yeah,
I think it was a story about Warner had tried to do one of these out of Chicago. It's like 100 vehicles, and I think it was Bensenville, Illinois, and the amount of power required was bigger than the entire cities for these 100 trucks. It's a municipal deal. So Class 8 is a very different animal than a smaller vehicle. You mentioned Waymo. Obviously, autonomous vehicles is really what they do. Where are we at in terms of the autonomous life cycle? Are we close to getting point-to-point autonomous in some of the bigger vehicles, or is it really going to be these local delivery vehicles that matter?
Like any of these products, I think it's going to evolve, right? You got to find that one, and Waymo's found a great niche in what they're doing. And if you were to take a cab in San Francisco, Waymo Uber, it's a flip of the coin which one you're going to take. But I think it's like anything, even the Class 8, like it takes scale and it takes time to get there. And the vehicle industry is 125-year-old industry, and the infrastructure has been built for it, and the infrastructure is being built for autonomous EVs. And I think we're getting there, but
there's a lot of new OEMs, though. All of the new vehicles, and someone who likes vehicles, I get very I have shiny ball syndrome. This looks good at the Scout. I mean, we're talking small vehicles. You see all these new type of frames that are out there, these new OEMs that have entered the market. What is your sort of thought on the current level of automotive innovation and mobility innovation?
With just a number of new players kind of entering the marketplace, it's tough to... Listen, the challenge, folks, what we hear from folks is it's tough to vet a new player, right? Are they going to be around in 10 years? And you're talking to large strategic corporate buyers. There's big risk there, right? It's tough to do business with a startup right? So it's we need them. They're pushing innovation to different levels. Tesla started that way. They've done a fantastic job with where and how far they've come. So you kind of tread lightly, a little bit of caution, but we're certainly, from our fleet management standpoint, we're very invested in the EV fleets that want to take advantage of it. We have a ton that we're managing, and it's a little bit of a different brick and mortar that you need to set up to manage it, but we're there.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Tesla with the Semi. They've had this, Elon Musk in 2017 talked about 200,000 vehicles by the end of 2020. I think it's 22 when he predicted that. We're still in the very early innings of that. But Tesla has an enormous balance sheet, has an enormous resources available to it. Do we think that the Tesla Semi is going to be a primary, or is it going to be a special use application?
Elon's proved many people wrong with many things he's done. So I
would never bet against him, right?
I wouldn't bet against him. I think, listen, it's quite a ways away, right? He's changing he changed it with the charging infrastructure. So I think he's changed it. There's a new charging infrastructure in those Class 8s. It's faster, bigger batteries, all that. But
some of the initial reports have been positive. I think there was some concern about the driver, how the drivers would deal with it. But some of the newest semis that have rolled off the assembly line have gotten gotten great feedback from the fleets that have implemented it. NFI actually told me that they're seeing a fantastic driver. The drivers seem to love them. They're great response, and they're actually getting much more efficient than they had in some of the early adaptations.
I agree. We've heard similar feedback from folks. I think people have been pleasantly surprised, and I think it takes innovation always to push us into different directions. Our partnership is an old school, I'd call it, fleet management company that's been around 100 years with someone that's brand new and kind of like a software as a service type space. It speaks to that, right? Like we're trying to evolve and keep up with the pace of technology, and we're headed there. So all this is good stuff.
So a lot of technology, a lot of investment has been made in AI. And there's a question about a lot of the ROI in that is, people have had mixed, some have had great success, but others have had mixed success. Where do you see the most successful AI implementations? Where are you most bullish?
At Element, we've rolled out AI tools to our workforce. We're empowering people to make their own kind of use cases within their departments on like, hey, how does this make me individually more effective at what I'm doing and process more workload? Repetitive tasks, billing, auditing bills, that can all be AI now, and those are huge improvements when you're processing a lot of paperwork on our end. And then on like the practical side of like the stuff we do on a day-to-day basis of managing vehicles, if you think of Samsara and just the automated coaching, right? The automated instant feedback on like, you just ran through that red light, or like at the end of your drive session, it gives you automated feedback on like how you drove that day. Putting that into action and giving the instant feedback to a driver via AI, you would need teams of dozens of people to do that in the past, and that's a real practical application here today.
What are you most excited about in the future when it comes to what's happening in your organization, partnerships, technology, what you're adopting? What are you like jazzed up about at night? Like what are you excited about?
No, we're jazzed at the whole digital evolution, right? And where this is heading. I mentioned it before. I call it a 100-year-old industry fleet. But seeing all these terms, AI, digitization, mobility, and kind of seeing where we want to head the next 5 to 10 years, and why we've chosen to partner with folks like Samsara, it's a fantastic vision of where kind of the whole fleet management space is headed for us.
Is there anything at the show that would get best in show in your opinion? Well, Julie and I have already voted on it, so what we think is the coolest technology.
I loved their keynote this morning. I thought it was fantastic. And they were very jazzed and energized. I'm trying to think of a couple of the examples. I like the driver greeting. I know it seems simple, but the whole dual camera, don't need to bring your phone or tablet into the car, and someone is able to like immediately reroute you if you forgot something.
That was cool.
Or, that's pretty, that's real. And like, if you look at folks around the room and folks that are using trucks on a day-to-day basis, you're making an impact on their
driver
daily,
and I had to send routing to a driver, which was always a pain. Like, take this route. It's really cool that you can send that to them over the air, and it instantly shows up.
And it's instant, and I think that's pretty awesome.
Like in real time. Yeah, we know you've still got pallets on. Drop your demurrage here on your way to your next load. Like that's super cool.
What did you guys vote on?
We voted on the 360 camera. That was pretty cool. I've told Julie, I told her audience, I'm a pilot, and I want one of those in my airplane. Just basically for YouTube videos of everything going on. That's not what they're for. They're there for safety, but it would be cool to be able to critique maybe that's an expansion.
I need to put it in my kids, like John Deere in the backyard.
That's true, yeah. The whole fleet.
My kids do start driving one day. I'm like, I want that.
I think there's a consumer application coming. Maybe here. We'll be right back after these messages. Stay with us. We're going to be right back from Las Vegas talking about AI safety and what's happening around fleet innovation right here from Las Vegas.
Race car drivers like NASCAR champion Jesse Love are a lot like commercial drivers, pros. But even the best in the world still watch the tape to see what they missed and get better next time. So we created the Samsara driving coach.
Great race, Jesse, but you were following too closely and you were speeding.
Okay, you got me on that one.
Samsara uses insights from millions of professional drivers to coach drivers in real time.
Because even champions need a coach.
Give me the keys.
What's the masterclass all about? Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're a driver, you're an owner-operator, you're a fleet owner, whether you're in compliance services, dispatcher, no matter what it is, masterclass is for you. Every 2 weeks, you're going to sit down with me, and we're going to go over certain business topics that are related specifically to your small trucking company operations. We're going to help you with everything from compliance to how to negotiate better on the spot board, how to find direct freight, and everything in between. This is the reason why you don't want to miss out on masterclass. It's about an hour to an hour and a half, and then on top of that, you'll have the library to you so that way you can always research and reflect back onto it. Don't miss out this opportunity. This is built specifically for you. I'm excited, and I hope to see you in class.
Imagine a world where your freight moves as fast as a digital pulse. What if your visibility didn't just tell you where a truck was, but exactly where it needed to be 48 hours from now? Think of a logistics network that corrects its own mistakes before they cost you a single dime. What if your supply chain could think for itself? Imagine AI agents negotiating rates in milliseconds, predictive models that solve labor shortages before they even happen. This isn't science fiction, it's the agenda. On July 15th at the historic Old Post Office in Chicago, FreightWaves presents the Supply Chain AI Symposium. We are defining in real time how AI is embedded into every mile, every warehouse, and every handshake. Because in 2026, the future isn't just coming, it's already negotiating. The FreightWaves Supply Chain AI Symposium. Secure your spot now.
Welcome back. We are live from Vegas at the Samsara Beyond event, and we've had a great lineup so far. We've got one guest left before the end of the day that we'll be excited to talk about, but I've learned a lot. I think it's been super fun to talk about drivers and how this technology actually impacts drivers who are literally moving our industry, and that's been my favorite part so far. What has been your...
I think it's interesting when we talk about hardware, because so much of the technology that you and I interact with is software. It's sort of, particularly when AI is sort of in the background, you can see the applications. But what's really cool about coming here is seeing the actual hardware that sort of drives
is it? These little tracking devices, the labels are really cool. You and I are enamored with this 360 camera that I absolutely am gonna. There needs to be a consumer application. The idea that you can put that on your kids.
Oh my God,
that would be amazing.
I don't need the camera on them all the time, but when they're driving, I would like to have one in their car.
Yeah.
I want the tracking label on my kids. Stick it in their
tracking
backpack.
label, but the battery is 45 days.
A new label.
You'll just have to bring a new label in every day. So
45 days.
I think what's cool about that is it connects to their mesh network. So anybody who has the Samsara devices can actually can transmit. So,
yeah, so cool.
I think that's really cool. But we've got a lot of equipment here. Again, this feels like we're at the ground center of a lot of innovation and American reindustrialization. I've said it, and of course, I'm super bullish on that.
Yeah, I can't wait when we're done to walk around this expo floor a little bit and actually get up close to some of this construction equipment and the semis and the garbage truck and the school bus and do all of that. But I agree. So reindustrialization, it does feel exactly like that. I'm looking at a picture over here while we're talking of welding happening and manufacturing and steel beams going up. And I know that we've seen a bit of softening in the flatbed market as we think some of the AI data center build out has, the initial build out has maybe slowed as they'll move to the fitting phase, which will be more van, right? But I think flatbed's still going to remain with all of this other reindustrialization and manufacturing strong, and we'll wait and see with housing. But
yeah, I think it's interesting because you do have the sort of relative softness in flatbed, but the way I read into that, Julie,
relative softness compared to last
50%
month,
rejections, 30% rejections.
Yeah,
but I think a lot of it was positioning. I mean, a lot of it is construction related, data center construction related specifically, maybe some defense, but a lot of that is because your big building season starts, people start bringing products in January and February, and then, they start, once the weather clears, weather's better, is when they start doing the
actual work,
build out, the construction. So a lot of that softness is just relative. We're still at 30% rejection.
Well, I was going to say, soft, which is like a year ago, had we said 30% rejection on flatbed, we'd be like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's still a huge number.
Huge. So
absolutely.
When we say relative softness, I just mean a bit of cooling compared to the absolute crazy that it has been.
Now, one thing we talked about before we came on air is the idea that fuel prices are absolutely collapsing. Oil prices are collapsing. And the question there is what is happening in Hormuz? And I think one of the really interesting things is we have a Hormuz monitor inside of Sonar, so you can actually see it. And regardless of the noise, there's been a lot of noise.
A lot
of noise is the problem. Anytime you have, two sides like Iran and the United States, you have the political, you have the people who don't like the president and people that like the president, and you get sort of, I will call it biased information. What is interesting is about that Hormuz monitor inside of Sonar is it tells you sort of like how many ships are passing.
Yeah.
And we're only at 40% of where we were pre-war, but there's still enough passing through the strait that has enabled the energy market prices to come down. I think WTI is at $68 a barrel, which, we got as high as $115. We're about half of where we were a couple months ago. And of course, that's going to show up in cheaper fuel surcharges. It's going to help the owner-operator community with cheaper fuel costs. Yep. And one of the things they benefited from very high and tight freight markets with high rates, they're also benefiting now from lower fuel charges. But one of the big questions is,
rates aren't going to go down.
Does that hurt freight rates?
No, I don't think spot rates will fall.
Well, they haven't. I mean, they're still.
I don't think they will. I don't think fuel going down will mean spot rates will fall because there has not been capacity added to the market, and it is not cost-based pricing. Like we say that over, it's not.
The clearing price is the clearing price.
Supply.
Ultimately, freight is going to be based on the clearing price. It's what brokers and shippers have to pay to move it. That's really what matters. Fuel coming down. It's not a cash flow. It will make
fuel surcharges will come down.
Fuel surcharges come down.
Spot rates won't fall.
Correct. I think that's an absolutely correct. And look, we're headed into the busiest week of the year, which is that July 4th, right before that surge as shippers try to plan for it. It's going to be great. We're going to see if tender rejections get above 20%. But we're here to talk about AI. We're here to talk about safety. We're right in the middle of what I have said is this is the epicenter of American reindustrialization. As I look out here, we got this big crane thing right beside us. That's cool.
Yep.
Your presentation, by the way, Julie and I were in the back.
Let's give an intro. Welcome.
Sorry. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You are the VP of Safety at Samsara. So thank you for being here with us. And then, yes, your presentation was great.
It was really cool. You were sitting on stage in the vehicle talking about you were a driver, playing the role of a driver. And it was just really cool to see that as a sort of a live demonstration of what you guys are really up to.
Yeah, I think we're sort of reframing the way that drivers interact with Samsara. Historically, it's been Samsara kind of gets you in trouble. And, drivers are thinking, I drive 98% of the day, I'm driving perfectly, I'm a pro, I'm great on the road, and I make 2 mistakes and I have to go to the principal's office. And now we're saying, look, you got a co-pilot here who's super intelligent, who drives 100 billion miles every year, who knows these roads, who knows the risk areas, who knows the traffic, the weather, everything about your route, and that person can be there for you anytime you need them. So it's just kind of changing the frame for a driver.
I love that. And I love that it can provide the real-time coaching as well, right? Which my initial thought was like, ooh, our driver's going to like that. I spent years talking to actually our operations team take on some of the safety coaching because I felt like it was coming better from someone with a relationship with the drivers than being called to the principal's office, like you mentioned. So how are you guys bridging that and the fact that it is, I love the way you framed this, in other words, that it's not just the negative feedback it's getting, but positive. But how do you guys continue to build that relationship with the driver to allow that trust and for them to actually take the feedback in and act?
A lot of it is the direct-to-driver coaching. So, we want to give drivers the chance to self-correct, give them the information that we're seeing, and let them action on it before it gets to the people in the back office. It's also recognition. It's like, hey, you drove 50 straight miles without a single event. Amazing. Here's your safety score is going to go up. Maybe there's an incentive tied to that for your business. Maybe you can use that for a reward. We're building out a rewards program within Samsara. There's a ton of things happening here that's going to benefit drivers.
What was the number one? Is it the big brother concern? Yeah. This has been an issue since the earliest days, since I was born into trucking. The idea that someone's watching them, that there is a third party watching them. Is it just a comfort level that drivers need to get comfortable to know that you're there to help them do their job safer?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a few things. One, drivers are going to see this everywhere in the industry. I mean, there are very few fleets that are not going to mandate this. You saw the recent moves to the Supreme Court. I mean, this is just becoming the way that the industry is going to operate. So it's sort of you got to evolve. Secondly, I think we've got a ton of guardrails inside the system. So if they want safety, if they want privacy, they can take those moments and do those things. And we're just always, it's a constant dialogue with drivers. We know the industry doesn't move forward without them. So we are building the system such that they can get the max value out of it. And we see that when we are there to rescue them from a catastrophic event or a claim, we earn their trust. It's like, oh, someone in the fleet had something terrible happen to them. It wasn't their fault. Samsara was there, got their back, and suddenly it starts to get across the fleet.
And only 12% of accidents involving heavy-duty trucks are the truck drivers' fault, the vehicle's fault. So you're helping in many ways keep them accountable, but also help them improve their safety. What is the number one when we see you guys implement the technology at a fleet? What is the behavior that you see change the quickest? What's the biggest return on investment in terms of safety?
Speeding. Speeding is really number one. And the other thing that we're seeing is coaching is a huge part of it. Coaching is how you get behavioral change. And we've got some reports out recently where we look at all across the entire Samsara network, and you see that the top 10% of drivers, if you prioritize those 10% who are the ones who are driving the most safety events, they are the ones who are causing about a third of the crashes across the network. Top 25% drive about 2/3 of the crashes across the network. So it's like, if you're a safety manager, you don't have to, peanut butter your effort. You just focus on a few key areas. You can make a huge impact.
And so, speed is one of those. Obviously, distracted driving is another their cell phones. How are you guys helping fleets deal with that?
Yeah. So the other thing that we found is that these incidents in isolation all create risk, right? Speeding, mobile usage, distracted driving. But what we now have is we can sort of stitch these events together, and we can see that they compound and they create risk that really is outsized. And this is like new tech for us. It's basically, look, we now have the AI that can go and stitch these events in the back end. We can run inference against them. We can see, a speeding event at night when you're following closely and it's raining is very different than a normal speeding event. And those are the things you want to really lean into and coach against.
Yeah, so that plays into exactly what I was going to ask. How are you preventing and mitigating risk and bringing attention to that to safety departments? So you answered a lot of that, but are you also seeing those compounding behaviors alert the safety departments or the organizations to maybe changes in a driver's behavior that they can address? Because that's one of the stats that I remember is that in almost every accident you can see that even if a driver had years of safe driving experience, there would be in the 6 weeks leading up to it, in most cases, a trackable change to their behavior that we could see in hindsight, but maybe not. And so how are you guys doing that?
This is a perfect use case for AI. We talked about all the data that gets generated by Samsara and that sort of data overload. This is one where you can have agents proactively listen for these things. You can say, oh my gosh, like this driver, you've had 6 years of perfect driving, but over the last 3 months, something's changed. Like something in their life has changed. You just check in on this person, see how they're doing. And this is where agents become so powerful. It's just they're the eyes. They never stop. They never get tired, and they can synthesize so much data so quickly for you. So you can do this yourself. You can query the Samsara assistant. You can set up agents that listen for these things, and they just bring all of that context together for you.
When there is a change in behavior or a change in sort of safety scores that the driver is rated on, is it typically home life that's causing problems? Is it health? Is it lack of sleep? Where's the spectrum that you guys have sort of learned in the data?
We see it all. I mean, I was with a customer just 20 minutes before this, and they were saying, if a driver has a bad day, you can tell in the data. Yeah. And it could be they slept poorly, or they got into an argument with somebody on their way into the office. It's just like, it's normal stuff, and it's all case by case. But the important thing is, like, we can now see it in the data. It's not just, hey, I noticed that Johnny was looking a little weird this way. It's like, no, I have concrete evidence.
There's some complete change, and ultimately trying to, I would say, intervene, but coach and discover what is actually there.
Be a good teammate,
So what is coming into this industry, you've got the benefit of so many connected devices, I think 90 million connected devices across your network. Has there been a piece of data that has most surprised you about safety? And like, whoa, we had no idea and I would not have expected this?
I think it's a really good question. The thing that I would actually take the opposite. It's actually very intuitive. It's like, we're all drivers. We all know when we're distracted. We all know when those risks crop up, and now we can just quantify it really clear. It's like the intuition is matched by the numbers, and I think the story is so clear now. The thing that the single fact that it blows me away is that we do over 100 billion miles every year across the network, and it's just hard to like put your head around that. The way that I've done it is like, Tesla has basically put out some numbers around the mileage that they've done on self-driving. It's like 10 billion. We do that in 4 weeks. Wow. Like every 4 weeks, we're doing a full lifetime of what Tesla is doing. So it's just the scale that we see, the understanding that we have about roads, the density that we have, the visibility that we have across the country, across the world. It's just, the scale is insane.
So if we were, someone listening to this conversation, if they were to take 3 big takeaways from the data, what would they be in terms of improving safety?
Coaching matters. Coaching really, really matters. It's what drives behavioral change. Risk compounds. It's not all events are made equal. It's like when you see a speeding event with a harsh braking event with another event tied on top, then it's like, okay, these things really, really are the red flags for you. And focusing on specific drivers matters. There's a small subset of drivers drives a the vast majority of impact across your fleet. And it's a very tractable problem if you have the right data and you have the right partners and you can look at the right places.
That's amazing advice and a really easy, actionable places to focus. So thank you so much for being with us today and talking
Thanks
through
for
this.
having me.
Yeah, we could have this conversation.
Really could.
Another half hour, another hour. It's, you mentioned Montgomery and the SCOTUS decision. Safety is now top of mind for shippers and carriers alike. Yeah. So it's really pertinent.
It is. Thank you so much. We know you have another obligation, but thank you so
Appreciate
much for being
Thanks
with
for
us.
having me.
Thanks for having us. Julie, it's interesting when we think about all the things that are actually taking place here. Still best in show is the 360 camera. We're voting for that. Hopefully, we'll get a consumer version of that for our kids, right? Yeah. So that's up. We'll be right back.
Race car drivers like NASCAR champion Jesse Love are a lot like commercial drivers, pros. But even the best in the world still watch the tape to see what they missed and get better next time. So we created the Samsara driving coach.
Great race, Jesse, but you were following too closely and you were speeding.
Okay, you got me on that one.
Samsara uses insights from millions of professional drivers to coach drivers in real time.
Because even champions need a coach.
Give me the keys.
What's the masterclass all about? Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're a driver, you're an owner-operator, you're a fleet owner, whether you're in compliance services, dispatcher, no matter what it is, masterclass is for you. Every 2 weeks, you're going to sit down with me and we're going to go over certain business topics that are related specifically to your small trucking company operations. We're going to help you with everything from compliance to how to negotiate better on the spot board, how to find direct freight, and everything in between. This is the reason why you don't want to miss out on masterclass. It's about an hour to an hour and a half, and then on top of that, you'll have the library to you so that way you can always research and reflect back onto it. Don't miss out this opportunity. This is built specifically for you. I'm excited and I hope to see you in class.
Imagine a world where your freight moves as fast as a digital pulse. What if your visibility didn't just tell you where a truck was, but exactly where it needed to be 48 hours from now? Think of a logistics network that corrects its own mistakes before they cost you a single dime. What if your supply chain could think for itself? Imagine AI agents negotiating rates in milliseconds, predictive models that solve labor shortages before they even happen. This isn't science fiction, it's the agenda. On July 15th at the historic Old Post Office in Chicago, FreightWaves presents the Supply Chain AI Symposium. We are defining in real time how AI is embedded into every mile, every warehouse, and every handshake. Because in 2026, the future isn't just coming, it's already negotiating. The FreightWaves Supply Chain AI Symposium. Secure your spot now.
Huge thanks to today's OTR sponsor, again, OTR Solutions. They believe the right partners should know your business, understand your goals, and be there when it really matters. It's no accident that OTR boasts 4.7 stars on Google. They know that excellent customer support is at the center of every relationship. With responsive teams, industry knowledge, and a commitment to long-term growth, OTR gives customers more than service. It gives them a partner designed to help their business succeed. Learn more again with OTR.
Welcome back to FreightWaves today. It's been an amazing show here in Las Vegas. Julie, what have you gained from just being here? What did you experience?
Well, I think the size and the scope of it surprised me a bit. I mean, this is a
5,000
huge
people.
event and so
thousands
many
of people. And
yes.
the keynote was, I would say, sold out. I mean, it was standing room only.
It was packed. And it was great.
Thousands of people.
And not just packed with people kind of milling around or
No, they were all attentive and they were there for the entire conversation. And
yes.
I think a lot of it was just the display of technology, the use cases. I liked how they developed this interactive experience where you got to see the technology live. said. One of the things that I think is true is just the level of energy and excitement and mission, or like the fact that everyone here is on a mission to solve a lot of the industry's problems, to deal with safety, to really address a lot of the challenges that exist in our industry.
Yeah, people are clearly here to get better, to work on getting better, to make their jobs better, to make their team's jobs better, to make driving safer. And that has been really cool to just sort of feel in the air as well. I also will say that probably part of the reason why there's a little bit of excitement and the air feels a little bit better is the freight market is recovering. And so people are like, oh, maybe I can buy some new technology.
Well, it is time to make investments. And I think, look, safety's never been more, I think, on the mind. The regulators are definitely talking about safety. It's getting, we're seeing so much focus on safety. I think one of the interesting things over the last couple of months, I think the interview that you guys did with the TCA president was probably the most interesting to me. And I wasn't in the interview, but what was very interesting was the fact that the TCA came out very vocal about the safety crisis that exists in the industry, whereas as a general rule, the associations were sort of always very protective and almost defensive. I thought that was a real change in market direction, where we're now able to admit, and the industry is able to admit, that we have problems and we need to go address them. And I think that's really how we start to make progress.
I agree. And that we're all talking about it a lot more, right? And I think the SCOTUS ruling drew a lot of attention to it, right? Because it was unanimous and all of that. But I agree. All of our conversations are talking about safety and how that continues to improve. And I honestly think fraud has gone hand in hand with continuing to make that, continue to move that technology forward too, right? They sort of go hand in hand in that this connected vehicle, it can help mitigate fraud as well as other safety risks.
I mean, look, I think the safety, security, and economic crisis that exists in our industry are all super related. There's no doubt that when we lowered the barriers to entry, and we allowed a lot of riffraff into the industry, what we saw was a collapse in freight rates because we had so much expansion, but we also saw a deterioration in the safety scores. And then we allowed bad actors, particularly organized crime syndicates, to come into our industry and cause substantial problems. It is why all these conversations are so important is because it enables us to have these honest conversations and look for solutions.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it also brings some community together. People are willing to actually share best practices among the industry because they're both problems we absolutely need to fight. Okay, this is a very serious conversation, so I don't want to belittle that. But I gotta say, I love Vegas. Craig, you used the word befuddled and riffraff today.
I probably, Vegas does keep you up all night, so it is part of it. Yeah, so
I've enjoyed that.
So Julie, tomorrow we have the best of.
We do.
So we're bringing together the best of FreightWaves today. This has been a month. We've been doing this for a month. So we've got some of the best conversations. Some of our highest rate conversations are going to be review those. So if you missed any of our special guests, it's a chance. And we're going to do best of on a periodic basis. So these are the 4 best of interviews, but we're going to go through and present more. And I think it's a great time to sort of bring together what we've had a chance to really feature are these fantastic conversations with industry leaders.
That's right. So back to noon Eastern tomorrow. So our regular time slot, best of, including Shelley Simpson, Seth Holm, Brad Jacobs, and Andrew Colhane from Torque. And then we will be back with our normal live schedule. I will not be. Craig will be with Malcolm.
I will be here next week. I'll be here Friday. You're going to be here next week too? No, you're out. You're out next week. But I will be in studio next week, which, it's going to be nice to get back. I've been out all week, so I'll be glad to be back in there. And, what's been amazing about this is we get to hear about the technologies. And I would say the thing that I picked up from the show is it feels like our industry, AI, this intersection of AI and physical hardware, the things that we've been promised for decades. You've been in this industry for a long time. Things that we've been promised for decades, it feels like we're on the cusp of being able to solve for it.
I agree, of making AI actionable.
Yep.
And not just
all this
for
data,
tech, but for operators.
Correct.
Yeah.
And look, I think safety is obviously first and foremost about everybody's mind in our industry, and we're super excited to be a part of it. So come up tomorrow. We'll see you for the best of episode on FreightWaves Today.
presents the Supply Chain AI Symposium. We are defining in real time how AI is embedded into every mile, every warehouse, and every handshake. Because in 2026, the future isn't just coming, it's already negotiating. The FreightWaves Supply Chain AI Symposium. Secure your spot now.